afternoon, everyone. We'd like to thank you for joining our Recruit webinar for this afternoon. We do still have some folks dialing in, so we'll go ahead and give it just a couple of minutes, and then we will be right back. We are just a couple of minutes past, so thanks again everyone for joining our Recruit webinar for today. I'm joined today by my colleague, Ellen Benzine and Dan Hicks. Ellen is also an account manager, as am I, Carol Kennedy. And Dan is on our technical support team, and he'll be helping as well with our presentation today. Our topic for today, we will be going over reporting in ApplicantStack. And reporting is one of our most common, I would say, topics, area of discussion. People are looking to get some assistance with the reports and really know a little bit more about it. So we're hoping to help you out today with that. We'll review some reports that are available to you, go over how these reports are useful, and how your team can use those reports to collectively improve your hiring process. And then we'll be sure to open up the floor to a Q&A, so we'll do our best to answer those questions for you. We do ask that we try to keep those questions general in nature. If you have anything specific to your account, since there is sensitive information in your account, we do ask that perhaps if you have a question that's more specific to you, maybe go to our support team that's available in the upper right corner of your screen, that orange and white question mark, and they will be happy to address that with you. Again, we can't really go into your account. We don't want to show any sensitive information that shouldn't be seen by the group as a whole. We did want to mention some upcoming events that we have. So on June 27th, we have an Ask Me Anything session about ensuring engagement with your candidates. We have on July 11th, managing your documents. And on July 23rd, we have an onboarding overview that we will be presenting. So we do encourage you to register for those. There will be a link coming in the chat. You should also be able to register for those via your homepage and the announcement section in the upper left corner of your screen. So we would love to see you there as well. We do have some additional resources here for you. We have a knowledge base article about reports. And as we mentioned, you can also submit a support ticket through the link in the chat to our support team if you have anything that's really more specific to your account, a little bit more sensitive information. With that, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the recruit system in general. So as you're aware, our recruit system allows you to post jobs out to a variety of different places. You can attach pre-screening questions to those jobs. So as candidates apply, you can prompt for some more information. You can manage your applicants. Through the process, you can communicate with your candidate and your team. We have options for you to provide and record feedback about your candidate. So perhaps a phone screen or an interview. You can schedule interviews through the system. You can track the history of your candidate. So if you ever have a reason to come back in, you can see all that history and what has happened. We also have templates available for you to track anything related to your recruitment process. So one thing we do have, in addition to all those and more features that really are focused today, but we did want to narrow in on reports for today. So those will help you get a handle on your recruitment process. So reports can, for example, show you what sources are really working for you, which sources you should continue to invest in posting your jobs out to the public. Perhaps it will help you determine what parts of your process are working well or maybe not so well. So do we have a particular stage that's taking quite some time for candidates to get through? That's going to help you really look at your process and maybe where we can improve on some things. Reports are available to recruiter and administrator users. So since they do include some sensitive information and data about your candidates, we do want to restrict that to those users. So if you don't see reports in your account, that may be one reason why. It's only available to certain users. We do have some dashboard reports, and we have down below my reports. So your report view may be slightly different depending upon maybe you've got some customizations or different customers may have a little bit different view. So if things look a little bit different for you, that may be why. So not too much to worry about there. With that, we'll go ahead, we'll hop in, we'll take a view at just a few reports. We unfortunately don't have the time to go into every report today, but we'll look at a few just to give you some thoughts around maybe how you want to use those reports to really optimize your recruitment process. Let's go into, for example, under my reports, active job detail. One metric that is looked at quite a bit is time to fill. So let's go ahead and run that report. Again, it's just a demo account. There's not a lot of information in here, but we can see, for example, for our registered practical nurse job, the time to fill was 133 days. It will also show you your jobs, number of candidates, what stage that job was in, when was that job created, when was it modified, and your time to fill, as well as department. So that might be a useful report for you, since that is a metric that's frequently looked upon in the recruitment world. Let me go back to our reports page. Up at the top, this is a dashboard report. Let's go ahead and look at source performance. So we mentioned we may want to take a peek at what sources are working for us, which ones we want to continue to invest in. And I will need to do a custom date range here. Let's go ahead and run that. And we can see here, where are our candidates coming from? Indeed, LinkedIn, Google, Monster. Of your candidates that were hired, where did those candidates come from? So in this case, LinkedIn seems to be working for us pretty well. Google seems to be working pretty well. So that will determine, or at least show you a little bit into which ones, if you're paying for them, maybe continue to invest in these, maybe move away from some others, depending on how they're working for you. Okay, and at the bottom, we just have a little bit more detail for you. And the last one I wanted to mention before turning it over to Dan is our EEOC summary report. So depending upon your organization's needs, you may or may not be required to have this information. Let's go ahead and run that. It's a pretty standard report. So we can see by job, total number of candidates, and the breakdown by category. You may be wondering, how can we further work with this information? So if I come back to our reports tab, the dashboard reports at the top don't have quite so many options, but at least the reports down at the bottom, you have an option to clone that report. Let's say it's pretty close to what you need. You just need to make a couple modifications. We can go ahead and do that and make our changes on the copy. We can edit that report. We can create our own via Create Report. And we can export these reports as well. So you can save that to your desktop. It comes out in CSV, and then you can further manipulate that information if you need to. Okay, with that, I'll go ahead and pass the floor over to Dan. Again, Dan is on our technical support team. He is a guru when it comes to reports. And then once Dan has just talked a little bit about reports, we'll go ahead and open up the floor to questions, and we'll do our best to answer those for you.
All right, good afternoon, everybody, or good morning, depending on where you're dialing in from. All right, I have my screen shared here. Hopefully you can all see that at this point. So Carol went over some of the pre-built reports in ApplicantStack, so I'm going to go over the process of how to create your own report if the report you need isn't in the list of already built reports. So the first step in that is going to be to click the Create Report button over here. We're going to go ahead and enter a name and description for our report. We're going to call this our detailed report, and I'll go over that in just a second here. A detailed report, as the name suggests, is going to list details about specific candidates or jobs. There is another type of report we can create called a summary report, and that will give you an aggregate count of data, but will not list out specific candidate or job data. Don't worry if that doesn't fully make sense at this point. It will once we go through our two examples here. So we're going to start with creating a detailed report. As I mentioned, this report is going to list the specific details of jobs or candidates in the system. So for our example purpose here today, we're going to create a list of candidates' names and contact information, their phone number, email, and mailing address. All right. So we'll need to give our report a name as well as a longer description. I'm not going to type in a longer description just because this is a quick demo. Here we'll need to select the data set for our report, and we're going to choose the candidates data set, as this is going to be a report focusing on candidates, their names and contact information. And finally, we'll need to pick the report type. As we mentioned, this is a detailed report. Once we select that, the rest of the screen is going to populate. All right, so this first here, this is our field section. This is where we specify what fields are in our report. And to add a piece of data to the report, we simply drag it from the left-hand column over to the right-hand column, just like that. Now, each field that you drag over becomes a column heading in your report. So they would be the column headings across the top of the report. And then the data within each column would populate down through the report. All right, so we have our candidate name. We'll also throw in the job they applied for. So if we expand out job fields here, we can pull over job name. Now, at this point, you might have a little bit of a question saying, well, job name, that's not a candidate information, that's job data. Well, it is, but it's job data relating to the candidate. So again, candidate is still the focus of our report. And like I said, we're going to add their contact information. So we'll add their address and their email and a phone number. All right. Now scrolling down, we have the next section in our report, which is grouping. Grouping allows you to segregate the data into different groups. So, for example, we could group this by job, or perhaps we would want to group it by, so if we want to group it by job, we could group it by job name. We could group it by job department. We could do job category. But as this is a demo account with not a lot of candidates, we'll just leave this section blank for now. All right, and something to note here is that some of our clients, some of our larger clients in particular, may have tens or hundreds of thousands of candidates in their database. A report with that many candidates might not be useful and can take a long time for the system to run. So we can add filters here, and the software will only return those candidates who meet all of the filter criteria. A good filter to add is always date created. This is a special filter type that the system is going to run first. So that will allow you to discard any candidates that are outside of your date range that you're not interested in, and will greatly improve the performance of pulling large reports. All right, we'll also add job department to our filters. All right. Now, down here at the bottom, we have our 3 action buttons. Save and preview the report allows you to see a preview of the report. And then the filters are disabled in preview mode, so that's why we don't see that. Okay. I don't know what happened. We'll have to rebuild my report very quickly. I apologize for that. All right. And down in the filters, I think we had added date created and our job department. All right, so we'll go ahead and save our detail report. All right. And we can go ahead and run that report. All right. So this is our sample detail report that we created. As you can see, each field that we selected is a different column heading in the report. So we have our candidate name, our job name, address, phone, and email. Now, if you want, you can sort each of these columns by clicking on the column heading. So you'll see there I clicked on job name, and that's sorted by our job name. Similarly, we can sort by candidate name, by email address, just by clicking on the heading. There is an option here to export our report. If you click on that, it will download a CSV file. And you can open that in Microsoft Excel or another spreadsheet program. And that will allow you to manipulate your report results outside of ApplicantStack, and you can work with them further that way. As we're a little bit limited to what we can do in the report window itself, you basically can just sort. But we can, however, we can filter. So if we want to only look at those candidates in the finance department, we can pick that. We can rerun the report. And you see now we have a smaller number of candidates because we are only looking at those candidates that applied to the finance department. All right, so let's go back to the reports tab, and this time we'll go ahead and create a summary report, and you'll see how this is a little bit different than our detail report. All right, so the first thing we need to figure out is what we're counting. That's going to be our data set for the report. We're going to do a source summary report, which is going to show the different candidate sources and the count of candidates from each source. So what are we counting? We're counting candidates, so that's going to be our data set. And our report type is going to be a summary report. Okay, primary field is going to be how we are counting our candidates, and we're going to count them by source. So we'll pick candidate from the list, and then we will pick source from the field menu. All right, and then we can add some secondary fields to our report. And we'll say for each source, we'll want to know how many candidates are in different stages. So we'll pick our candidate stage name from the field list, and we'll add that as a secondary field. And similar to the detail report, we're going to add our job department as a filter. And we can go ahead and save that. We will go back to our summary report and we will run that. Again, we will pick the finance department as our filter, and we'll go ahead and run that. All right. So this is our summary report. As you can see here, we no longer see individual candidate information. We just see numbers. So for our different sources, we have 3 candidates from Google. We have 5 candidates from Indeed, 5 from LinkedIn, and 2 from Monster. And again, this is just for finance department candidates. And then of our Indeed candidates, of our 5, 3 are in the new stage, 1 is in manager review, and 1 is in do not pursue. And that's broken down similarly for the other sources as well. With that, I'll conclude our demonstration on creating reports. Hopefully this has been a good introduction, allows you to get started building your own reports. Almost all the reports follow some variation of the detail and summary report concepts. Really, the best way to learn is just to get in there, create a report and run it. You can edit the report as many times as you need, so you can make incremental changes as you go and see how each change affects the report. If you can't find what you're looking for, or this is all a little bit overwhelming, the technical support and account management teams are here to help you build a report that meets your specific needs. You can just go ahead and, as Carol mentioned, click the question mark here in the top right corner of ApplicantStack and select Ask a Question. That will allow you to get in touch with our support team, and we can provide you some more tailored guidance for your specific account. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Carol.
Thank you, Dan. That was super helpful. With that, we'll go ahead and open up the floor for questions. They can be anything, ApplicantStack. It doesn't have to be report specific. Recruit, onboard, anything we can help with. So first question, will this be available to view at a later time? Yes, I believe we do have a recording happening, and that should be coming out after the presentation is wrapped up. So that is something that should be coming out, I believe, via email.
And Carol, I'm going to jump in too.
Okay.
There are also other Help Center articles and videos on reporting if you just want to show access to that very quickly. And,
Sure.
and again, you know, our Help Center is accessible 24/7.
Yep, thank you, Ellen. And Lauren, if you, yep, there you go, thank you. I've got control back. So yeah, if you want to navigate to our Help Center, should be able to just type in reports or something similar, and we'll have some results pop up. So reports tab, reports tab, and onboard. So that should be helpful. We more than likely have some videos for you, some walkthroughs, and so forth.
All right, we're ready to field some more questions. If anybody out there would like to input questions, please do so. And we always talk about, after we close down a webinar, customers think, oh shoot, I should have asked that question. Well, as Dan mentioned, you can always submit your questions via the Ask a Question drop down from the white question mark in the upper right-hand corner of your ApplicantStack screen, and it'll be routed to the right person, whether that be technical support or your account manager. But that's the best way to get in touch with us. All right. Carol, this is a recruit question.
Okay.
Can you please show, you had mentioned Monster in one of the reports that you showed. Can you please show what job boards ApplicantStack Recruit is integrated with, please? Third-party job boards?
Sure thing. Let's go ahead and hop into a sample job that I have, and we'll navigate over to the Launch tab. So your page might look a little bit different depending on which job boards you have activated, which ones you don't have activated. But we have your public job board that would be tied to your company website. We do have some branding options available there if you're interested. We have your internal job board, so you could post jobs to, for example, a company intranet, or perhaps do an email blast out. We have these positions available. You can post that to your current employee base prior to pushing that out to the general public. Coming down, third-party job boards, we have Job Target, which has 25,000 plus job boards for you to post to. Some of those are quote unquote free, but there is a minimal delivery fee to post there. Other ones would have a charge affiliated with that, but that will be very transparent as you go through that process. Also requiring a separate paid subscription or account with that service is Career Builder, Dice, Monster, and ZipRecruiter. So you would need to have either an account or paid inventory and able to post it, to be able to post there. We have Google for Jobs, Indeed Organic, so that would be a free posting if your organization is approved to do so by Indeed, and LinkedIn Limited. If you decide to sponsor your job with Indeed, that would be an additional cost associated with that, but that is an option as well. And then we have our social media, Twitter and LinkedIn, to post to. Manual posting links, any source not listed above. So perhaps you're going to Craigslist, government site. Let's go ahead and choose Craigslist. That will generate a unique URL for you, so you can post your job out there. Place one of these two URLs in that posting, and that will direct candidates either back into the job listing or directly into the online application for that job, and it's going to track what source candidates found your job from. So that will be available in reporting as well, as we saw. So that's going to tell you what sources are working for you, bringing you quality applicants.
Excellent. Thank you, Carol. We've got another question coming in, and Laura will respond to you directly with your question since it's specific to your particular account. So know that we will be back in touch with you. Next question, Carol, is can you just give a brief overview of the permissions of each role within ApplicantStack, admin, recruiter, and hiring manager?
Sure thing. Let's come back to our homepage and manage users. We've got three types of access. We have administrator users, recruiter, and hiring manager users. So in a nutshell, we do have a support article. If you type in users, it's going to have a little graphic for you with checkboxes It's going to go into a little bit more detail about what each type of user can do, but your administrator can pretty much see and do everything in the system. So they can see all candidates, all jobs, they can post jobs, schedule interviews, work with candidates. They have the additional responsibility of setting up and configuring your account. So setting up your workflow, setting up fields, really customizing the system, that is an administrator level responsibility. I don't want to say the next step down, but recruiters have a little bit less access. They have about the same level, minus those configuration responsibilities. And then your hiring managers are in there. They can see the candidates and jobs specifically assigned to them. So they can see candidates, they can do a little bit to work with those candidates, but we're really kind of restricting them to their own jobs that they have been assigned to. So for a little bit more, I know I'm a visual person myself, a little bit more information, that handy little grid with checkboxes that is under the Help Center. If you search for users, that will give you a little bit more detail if you need it.
Excellent. Thank you, Carol. And Laura, I am going back to your question, the one that I responded to earlier about specific to your account. My knee-jerk reaction is yes, we can help you create a report for what you're looking for, but can you go ahead and submit a technical support ticket so we can help you with that? Next question, Carol, is about Indeed and some of the rules associated with launching jobs from ApplicantStack to Indeed. Can you please bring up that Help Center article on Indeed guidelines? The question surrounds job titles and how to launch to Indeed with job titles that will are best to attract candidates.
Sure. Ellen, which one do you think it is here?
It's in the search bar. Can you backtrack and put Indeed guidelines in the search bar? I wasn't looking at what you input in the search bar just a minute ago.
Oh, here we go. Job title, best practices.
There you go. That's it. Yep. So this will help answer that question, Carol. If you can just quickly walk through this Help Center article, I think that will answer the question on how to best title jobs so they attract the most candidates on Indeed.
Sure thing. Yeah, and Indeed, really just high level, they really just want to see the job title. They don't want to see characters, exclamation points, anything of that nature. Every posting should be a real and currently available job. Location is specified. They're really just making sure that we are quality controlling and that jobs are posted for actual jobs. They don't allow jobs from multiple sources, so they only allow one to come through. So a lot of information here about best practices posting to Indeed to make sure your jobs will be visible and not caught up in their QA process as they're reviewing those.
Yeah, and you know, I just want to mention we are a preferred partner with Indeed. So we do have that integration built not only for organic postings in Indeed, but you can also sponsor. But Indeed still has the ability to block jobs if your jobs don't abide by Indeed's guidelines. All right, next question, Carol. Can you give a brief overview of creating templates, such as for a rejection email?
Sure thing. That is available under our library. So anything you think you might use again, it could be a job description template, it could be a set of questions that you're asking your candidate, or perhaps a third party if you're doing reference checks, things of that nature. We even have a section for documents for maybe an offer letter. So a rejection email would fall under messages. And again, your account might look slightly different. We do have some standard ones, template ones that are available typically if they haven't been deleted. But we have, for example, our reference check email. So let's go ahead and view that. And I don't have too much information in there, but let's look at our rejection email. Maybe I have one, maybe I don't. Not interested. There we go. let's go ahead and edit that one. So a couple of options. We can go ahead, if you're using texting, set that up as a text message. Or in this case, we have an email template. This is to inform you that we've reviewed your application, but unfortunately you did not meet the minimum requirements. We will keep a resume on file. So please feel free to customize that message. You can send that immediately. You can delay that. So I know it's never fun to apply for a job and get an immediate kickback saying you're not qualified. In that case, you're thinking, did you even take a look at my resume? So I might go ahead and delay that by a few days. We have merge codes available. So we can go ahead and pull in information. Thank you for applying for this job. We can pull in the job title to automatically populate that information. So it's really that easy. Come to your library, you can come to messages, you can create a template if there's not one there to already work with, or you can modify if you want to go ahead and make a quick edit. You can do that as well if there's something already existing.
All right, excellent. And yeah, Carol, I'm just going to add a little bit.
Sure.
In a couple of weeks, we'll have an AMA on engaging candidates. And the context in that AMA will be how to continually communicate with candidates throughout the recruit process, and even recruit with candidates who are not qualified for a job or particular jobs. Because again, you want to communicate with those candidates too, because maybe they'll be qualified for another job you post in the future. And communicating with candidates also is part of your employee brand. And we've talked about employee branding in the past. It's not just a logo. It's how you communicate with your candidates. It's also how you communicate with your new hires once they transition to onboarding. So it's what your company culture is, it's what your vision is. It all contributes to employee branding. But circling back around, part of it all is communicating constantly with candidates, even if those candidates don't match the requirements for the job for which they have submitted their application. So that messaging template that Carol just showed you, you can add whatever text you want as the message, and it might be, hey, we look forward to seeing you apply for future opportunities in the future. Just my 2 cents there.
Yep, thank you, Ellen.
You're welcome. All right. Next question is, please show me how to get to the Help Center again.
Sure thing. So in the upper right, you should see this orange box with a white question mark in there. Two places to point out. We have the Help Center, which has a variety of different videos, walkthroughs. Let me type in questionnaire. If we come in, so we can see we've got a walkthrough with screenshots for you. There could be a video if that's a little bit more helpful for you. It just kind of depends on the subject area. And then we have ask a question. So if you have a question for our technical support team, or even if it's an account management question, it will be routed to your account manager. You can go ahead, just type in a couple of fields. We want to make sure we get your email right. Sometimes we hear back, I haven't heard from you. The email may have been typed in incorrectly, and that's why we come to find out. So just be careful typing that in. You'll enter your company name or domain name so we can find you. Give that a priority if you would. Category, what kind of question do you have? Subject, and then description. So you may want to, I always expand this box just a little bit if needed so you can see everything, but please be as detailed as you can. So if you have a question, I can't see a candidate. Well, it's going to be a little bit more helpful, help us resolve a little bit quicker if you can let us know for this job, you know, I'm not seeing this candidate at any detail you can provide. And then that's going to help our team investigate that a little bit further. Maybe the user that can't see the candidate. So we can take a peek and try to figure out why not. Okay, you'll have an option to upload any files. So if you have a screenshot, that would be really helpful. And then you'll just have to check the I'm not a robot for that to go through. And then you have to scroll down just a little bit, but then you'll see the next button to actually get that submitted.
Excellent. And Carl, you submitted this question. We'll get back to you on your Help Center access. You'll access the Help Center through a link as opposed to the white question mark in the upper right-hand corner based on a product that you have. So we will be back in touch with you, Carl. And Carol, Carl says, okay, thanks. You're welcome, Carl. Carol, when you were mentioning how to submit a ticket with as much detail as possible, circling back to Dan and the excellent overview he gave us of reports, if you are trying to create a report yet the data you want isn't displaying properly or you're not seeing the data that you want, please share the report name when you submit a ticket, and please submit what data you want to display when you run the report and what's actually displaying. So as much detail as possible decreases the back and forth for Dan and his teammates and even us as account managers to ask additional questions. If you can provide that up front, we can work on your ticket and your question that much faster.
Right, or even a sample spreadsheet with what you're looking for. That would be helpful as well.
Yep, that's an excellent idea. Looks like those are the questions so far. The last thing I ask of you, Carol, is just show the announcement section so that you can register for subsequent Ask Me Anything hours and webinars that we've got scheduled.
Sure thing. So on the homepage in the upper left in the announcement section, we have Save Your Seat and join us for the Ask Me Anything on, well, 6/6 has passed, but for 6/27, please feel free to register for that. So those are always available in your announcement section should you be interested in attending, and we would love to see you there.
Excellent. I think we're going to wrap up a little bit early today, Carol. I don't see any other questions coming in.
Okay.
Yeah. Once again, this is the time I look at my screen and stare and see if any questions will be submitted, but wait, can you show us the Help Center? Okay. We just did that. One more time for the Help Center, and if you don't have the white question mark in the orange box in the upper right-hand corner, we'll respond to you. You're on a different set of products, and we'll be happy to show you how to access the Help Center for those products.
Yep, sure thing. So that question mark to Help Center, or we can send you, we've got a web form link that we can send you as well to our support team. But the Help Center, you can search RKB, and we have a number of different resources out there for you. So just think of a general topic area, questionnaire, reports, you know, trying to think of anything off the top of my head. Any how-to question you have, you can pretty much type that in here, and chances are we'll have something there for you available.
All right. And Roy is saying, thank you. I know you showed it again, but thank you again. Excellent. We've got a good job, Dan and Carol from Randy Pearson. So that's always good to hear. And that might just be it now, Carol.
Okay, fantastic. Well, we hope that was helpful for you. I know, again, reports is kind of a hot topic with questions, and hope that was helpful to you. We look forward to seeing you in the future. Thanks again, everyone, for attending. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, Carol.